The scene starts off with 3 thugs causing some property damage. You know, some good old-fashioned bullying. But what is it with adults in these movies? First you have the dad of Chronicles, and now this jackass?
Pussy.
Like, he was being a pussy, true, but he was outnumbered. Maybe he was just a little nervous. How about some words of encouragement? Like, you'll get him next time, champ, even if you're lying. Anyway, we get to the next part of the movie, and we had him being called a bitch at the beginning, straight into our main character getting put back together like a Lego set. This is not giving me confidence in him. So the woman putting him back together like she was that building nigga was his wife and a scientist that helped turn him into a RoboCop. Apparently, Henry was in an accident that we did not see. We just know he's fucked up. That accident left him like Mr. Bean, and just as they're about to give him back his voice, some thugs bust into the room. Can't have anything nice. Flattening this nigga with a heavy ass door, turning him into nothing but a chalk outline. He did not think his day would end by him getting panini pressed by a door. They came in that bitch with their guns up and their mind on the mission. Then this man came walking in there, hair in his face like he was a bad bitch. And the way he was arguing Henry, I didn't like it. Stop looking at me like that, sir. So basically, this man owns the company and believes Henry and Estelle's research belong to him. That's why he had to bring out the big steppers. Now this part caught me off guard. This nigga had telekinesis. So why you got the dudes with the guns? You good on your own. But I guess if you got the money, get the help. He lifted this man in the air and started shaking him. Lock this man up. He's a fucking thug. Why are you shaking somebody like that? And he didn't fight back enough for me. He was just like, damn, I'm being lifted up. Damn, I'm being stabbed. Do something. Make me feel that you want to live. Now, like a real one, she slid her finger across the keyboard, turning on that crank that, giving Henry and herself enough time to run through the door and escape. This scientist was smart, got his ass into an escape pod and was ready to peace out. And Estelle knocked on her pod and was like, no. She really thought he was gonna step out and be like, nah, you're right. Ladies first. He went Danny Phantom, Ghost. You could not see him no more. She ended up going down with Henry, resulting in her taking a nap and Henry rolling like John Wick when he was going down those stairs. Now she must have spidey senses or something because she woke up just in time because the thugs pulled up deep looking to do some thuggery and cause trouble for our protagonist and his wife. They really pulled up on time and this man talking shit until Henry touched his chin, tucking this nigga into bed, but that momentum did not last long. Henry went straight into feeding this man some pain. But look at this man. Doesn't he look lost? He was the wrong person to hit first. His dumbass wasn't focused on the fight. You have to target the threat first because the man on the other side was just waiting for this nigga Henry to turn around, then invited him into a rifle stock mukbang, had Henry on his hands and knees, while another one joined it, reminding me of Prime Nexus. His wife talking about some fight back, like he wasn't trying. I don't think he was looking at the sky because he wanted to. And this man, who I thought was having a nice sleepover on the road, came back to the frame and yanked my boy Henry to his feet and started beating on him, tased his ass off the bridge onto somebody's car. What is it with action movies and fucking up random people's cars? I don't know what's worse for cars, an action movie or Kia Boys. I don't know. After Henry got to his feet, he instantly tucked his ass safely between some cars. And after the beating that was put on him, I can't blame him. He doesn't even have memories. And the new ones he is making is him getting his ass beat. So the thugs started to surround the area, leaving Henry no choice but to try and escape, leading him to a shipping container with an old ass car. I'm assuming it's a rare type of vintage, I guess. And guess what happened? Of course they had to damage it. Henry ripped the windshield wiper off and readied himself for his ops. And as soon as he saw the barrel of a rifle peek into the container, he grabbed it and started poking this man with at least 20 years of rust. He was in there like Dr. Miami trying to get on right. But then the mercenaries started firing into the trailer, hands to the sky, hoping they hit something. But they were out there shooting like they were auditioning for the Empire. But Henry wasn't just gonna lay there and take that. So he went over to the car. Of course, it was sitting too safe for the movie's liking. It needed to go boom. But I'll take back what I said about it being the collectors. Because once he opened that door and all I saw was trash, go ahead, fuck it up. And he did just that. Wedging something on a gas pedal, and as soon as the car burst through the door, he upped and fired, actually hitting people. I think the camera was moving too much, giving me motion sickness. And for a nigga with no motion, it was a new feeling, had me dizzy. Once he was out in the open, he took off like he was Drewski when he got his chain snatched. He didn't look back once. He didn't care who was behind him. That was until he had his legs intercepted by a car. But can no one drive in this goddamn movie? Because after taking Henry's legs from him, another car came in and T-boned them. Like, what the hell is going on? Had Henry just watching this guy. I would say reminiscent, but he has no memories. Thoughts were just darkness. Now this Australian John Wick appeared, just bodying everybody, saving Henry. But do you know how badass it is to put on a suit and go to murder people? You have to do it in the suit. It makes it more classy. Because this man definitely donned this suit knowing he was going to be sending people to the afterlife. So after all that, they were inside the car and we see this Henry Battery's about to die. And without a charge, he'll die. And boy, I'll tell you, this man's life was so fucked up. No voice, no memories, and a shitty battery. I'm starting to look at the wife. Are you that good of a scientist? Anyway, Jimmy volunteered to take him back to his lab randomly. And I'm not trying to raise no eyebrows, but that sounds just a tap freaky. Like Henry doesn't know him. He's already inviting this back to his place. What does he have to do for that charge? But those plans were interrupted when they were pulled over by the police, who came in on go. Jimmy thought it was a normal traffic stop. Nope, they just pulled out their pistols and straight tried to pop Henry's head like a pimple. But instead, it was Jimmy that had a gusher experience. Since this nigga Henry opened his eyes, they were trying to close them. I know he was like this.
What did I do?
And look, they had this man's feet slapping raw against the ground. That's wild. What are they, animals? Let him put some sneakers on at least. They must be, because the cops started firing on him again. They didn't care he was surrounded by a group of people. They wanted that nigga past tense, and the extras would have been bonus points. My boy Henry didn't forget how to run though, because he was gone, giving this woman a free show as he changed his clothes and hoped to lose his wanted level. But that didn't work. But this one officer got a little too nosy and had to see what a gate door tastes like. And another one came in, but it was like he never saw any action on the force. And I could tell he wished he turned around. He was hoping the sight of the gun alone would be enough to scare him. No, Henry seized the barrel of the gun and just slept him. Come on, get back up. You're not really sleeping. Stop faking. Earn your pay. Henry turned around and kicked the first cop so hard in the face, the man had decided to leave. It's seen enough. Oh wait, he hit Henry with a fake out. Like, psych, I'm not sleeping, and rushed trying to tackle him. You had the element of surprise, and this is the best you could come up with? This is all you had to offer? Take your ass back to sleep. But my bad, it worked. He hit Henry with a clean takedown, like he was prime Khabib, then got on top, straddling him, utilizing some good old-fashioned ground and pound. I thought he was doing way better than I ever expected from an NPC, until the cop tried to go for the gun, giving Henry the opportunity to grab it first and use it to draw on his chest with lead. Then he put the jets back on until he hopped on his bus. I know he forgot his memories, but touching knees with another person on a bus is crazy, right? Or am I alone? Y'all just get on the bus sitting that close to niggas, having y'all knees have conversations? Maybe I'm alone. Nah, at this point, another person introduced. It was Jimmy again, but instead of a nigga in a suit, it was a bum with a 40. But nonetheless, he tells Henry he needs to charge his batteries before he goes belly up, and he knows where a charger is. But this nigga with telekinesis must have a lot of money, because Henry was attacked yet again. A man with a fucking flamethrower pulls up and turned Jimmy into Johnny Storm, had the nigga screaming flame on, even though he didn't want to. Henry even caught on fire when he hit that stop, drop, and roll out the window, robbing this man's magical bottle of water and doused the flames. Good ass bottle of water, if you were to ask me. Jimmy stumbled out of the bus fully engulfed, like he consumed the flame fruit. Now, how I'm watching the movie, the quality's a little low. Did Jimmy drop a 9 with a silencer attachment as he died like he was a certified NPC? I don't know. But what I do know is Henry upped that bitch on 10 men and started to unload, but it did nothing. Instead, he was almost turned into a campus snack. Had him putting the burners back on before he got his ass burnt. Henry tried to activate the skills at Agent 47 and lose his wanted level by changing his clothes by snatching some clothes off this bench, but was caught and pressed by them. Listen, what does Henry look like? Because why the hell was Captain Underpants confident enough to really try and press him? Then you have Saitama if he never became a hero trailing behind him. But he wasn't really like that for real, because when Humpty Dumpty had his noggin cracked with a maneuver directly from Chris Benoit's bag, a headbutt, leaving him dreaming about better times on the grass, nigga became so shook he started spawning and dropping drinks like he was a vending machine, hitting the hot diggity dog backwards. Anyway, after all that, Henry went to an apartment complex to search for Dimitri, and right here he whipped up some A1 parkour, just scaling the building, giving him a round of applause for it. I would love to do parkour, but gravity's my #1 op. It doesn't like me and can't wait to catch me slipping, so I stay on the ground. Inside the building, Henry reattached his silencer and started to look for Dimitri, and no lie, every one of these niggas in suits need to be fired. Henry wasn't really sneaking, he was walking regularly. Hell, at one point his shoes were slapping hard as hell against the floor like it owed him money. If it wasn't for the elevator being filled to the brim with 3 wish variants of Agent Smith, the entire walk to Dimitri's apartment would have been smooth. Henry must have had the fast hand perk equipped, because he scrambled the 2 of their brains before they could even have speaking lines. Then for some reason turned it to handy mandy, spawning a pair of pliers in his hands, damn near ripping this man's nose off his face like he was Mr. Potato Head. Why? I have no idea. Then he started walking with him, using his body as a shield as he walked down a bunch of people in suits. I watched a lot of movies and saw some bad henchmen, but these niggas have to take the cake. They did more screaming than aiming. After all that, he ended up in a room with a dude statue still on the chair, glasses on, arms hidden under a blazer. But if you ask me, no disrespect, you have to shoot him just once. You have to shoot him once just to make sure. Like, who would just pose a dead body like this? They obviously won't mind if you shoot him just once. Instead, he kicked the chair over and pulled out his personal pair of pliers, and this is where he lost me. He pulled off this man's bulletproof vest. Was he about to twist this man's nipple? Oh wait, shit, the battery. the battery. He about to take his battery, I forgot. But his wife interrupted his freaky escapades, somehow appearing on the screen behind him, warning him about the man with telekinesis building an army. I look at the screen and look at her like, what the fuck that gotta do with me? I am not a superhero. I am not a part of the Avengers. I'm a man with no memory. But that interruption by his wife allowed the man in the chair to disappear like he was David Copperfield. But was he gonna allow Henry to play with his nipples with that pair of pliers just to keep his cover as a dead man? Freaky ass. Oh man, I know he's going for his battery, but that nigga's still freaky. He didn't know that. The nigga with the glasses was tucked at the side, just waiting for Henry to turn around, just building up his punch, hitting that nigga with had that man ice skating on the hardwood floor. Then he was about to turn him into Swiss cheese until Henry started to fuck up their setup, pulling a wire and knocking a TV into the back of his head. Then they had the shittiest shooter I ever seen. Neither one of them has any business with guns in their hands, and Henry just put on the performance a few minutes ago. Now this was what he was doing. I mean, he did catch a body, still just to do this shit again out there like Nick Young. Niggas should just do the gun at him at that point. The movie became a parkour simulator. They dead ass almost ran a marathon, knocking the sonic rings out of this one girl who made a mistake of trying to mind her business and use the escalator. Henry, being a gent, tries to help help her up. But the way she ate them steps, she might need a nap. And Henry must have forgot what he was doing because the act of community service had him taste test some loafers. Then back to the running. That nigga loves running more than Forrest Gump. It only ended when Henry stole someone's champagne bottle and Tom braided it into the back of his head. Imagine you chase him around the entire town, put the paws on him, and someone decides to use his head as a watermelon challenge before you get any information. I'll be sick to my stomach. You couldn't shoot him before I called him? Disrespectful. And I can't show the rest because I don't think YouTube liked this much gore. Just know he dug into this man's chest like a bag of chips and removed the charger. After all that, another Jimmy called him and invited him to a place I'm not gonna show you. Let's just skip right past that. Straight into where he meets the main antagonist again. Can't say his name, not even gonna try. Henry walked into the room after having a shootout where he actually performed well. Clap it up for him. We can't let a performance like that go unnoticed. Inside the room, we were instantly greeted with a freaky ass sight. The last thing I wanted to see was Bertram in a thong on his knees begging. The movie didn't need to convince me this man was freaky. All they had to do was say it and I would have believed it. So after using a silver platter to split this man's head like a log, he turned to Henry, who should have turned around the moment he opened that door and seen what we both saw. But no, he waited there watching the show like it was his favorite soap opera. That just earned him an ass beating, and boy did this telekinetic freak manhandle him. He tossed an entire woman at him, used his body to move some furniture before tossing him from the room through a vent. At this point, I'm thinking it's a game because there's no way you beat his ass, let him escape, beat his ass, let him escape. Now Henry, what did we learn? When we see freaky shit going on, we don't stay and watch. That's no good. But him tossing Henry outside only allowed him to rearm himself before yet another Jimmy appeared, telling him to hop on the motorcycle, taking him to get active. And they did get active. The motorcycle sidecar was decked out with a mini Gatling gun, which he was doing damage with. Lit up an entire van, had the movie looking like Michael Bay directed it for a moment. That nigga loves explosions. Then he was on to the next, shooting the doors off, going inside of it like it was a pit stop, and turned everyone inside into new residents of the afterlife. But how did the motorcycle drive through the car? Like they were doing anything at this point. Henry lost his Gatling gun, but that was no problem for him. He dead ass jumped onto the moving van, kicked the gun from this NPC's hands, then started acting like he was messy, playing soccer with this dude's skull. Now the Jimmys in this movie are the equivalent to Kenny and South Park. Can't stay alive longer than a single scene. But before he joined his counterparts, he tossed Henry a grenade. I guess they didn't destroy enough shit. Now this part of the movie got me wondering if it's one of those Matrix simulator movies, because how in the hell did he do this? Henry made it to the main truck where his wife was, and these niggas are worse than trash. I was thinking the deeper in the convoy he gets, the better their hands. Nope, because how did Henry land directly in front of you, but you still managed to get caught off guard? And this nigga, I'm not wasting words on him. With a single knife, Henry dug into this man's guts and reprogrammed the other man's brain. Not like the nigga was using it, because come on, how are you that trash? If I was Henry, I would have been looking at my wife like, how are you getting taken by these people? There's no way they have you as a hostage. I don't believe it. Without the freaky telepath, they are just free eats at an all-you-can-eat buffet that you snuck into. Listen, Henry, man to man, you have to stay away from her. Every time you are near her, you are getting beat on. Like, you tried your best. And if I'm being honest, we don't even really know if that's your wife. You don't have any memories. She could be lying, because this was the second time a video interruption led to him getting stumbled harder than that one YouTube cameraman. First it was her, had him getting wobbled like he was Deontay Wilder. Now it's Mr. Freaky. So after having his head turned to a baseball, they almost buried him alive until yet another Jimmy pulled up and saved him. But at this point, if I was Henry, I'm holding up the white flag. I'm good. That's enough. I seen enough. I did enough. Because you know what came next? Yeah, Jimmy did die, but that was a given. I'm talking about them bringing in a goddamn tank for one person. Like, it can't be that serious. But look at this. Even with a tank, they are ass. All they did was give this nigga uppies. When they shot at him, get out the tank, please. Now I'm asking. No, I'm begging. Y'all gotta stop being this trash. I'm not rooting for the main character to lose, but I'm allergic to ass, and I'm starting to sneeze. Because look how bad it gets. A person in a tank losing to a man wielding a machete is crazy. Only the NPCs in this movie are capable of achieving a feat like that. Truly a sad sight. Like, I'm not rooting for them, but they're being bullied at this point. The nigga in the tank seen his coworker get snatched up like it was a horror movie and sat there waiting until it was his turn to get carved up like a Thanksgiving turkey. Then had his gun taken, and Henry had to further stamp the violation by hitting the flip for no reason. Then 3 more statistics came to be added to his KD. The first one was dropped from afar, and just because he could, switched from his pistol to a knife, hitting a tomahawk trick shot. And what was he doing? Look at him. He peeped both of his co-workers get dropped, and what does he do? Lands gently. He wasn't trying to fuck up his knees, I guess. Too bad his spine is now gone, so there's that. Good knees and no spine, still can't throw that ass. What? I don't know what I meant by that. You know, the mega knees thing, that's what I was saying. I got caught up in that moment. Another one comes in with an aerial advantage, and he misses every shot, making Spice Adam look like a proficient shooter. Just 3 shots from Henry's pistol had this man kissing the ground, then used his neck as violin practice. Listen, I'm sitting here watching the movie thinking there is no way the NPCs could get any worse, but I was wrong. Like, what's 9 plus 10? Wrong. Because Henry was climbing up the rope, and look what happened. From the perfect vantage point, this garbage bag let off complete air balls. With how bad his aim was, I'm not even sure he was hitting the air. How do you lose a pistol versus assault rifle shootout? After completely violating, annihilating these garbage cans, Jimmy sent him another location, and he just went. Henry is one nigga that doesn't learn. Stop going to the locations that Jimmy is sending to you. Henry walked into an abandoned looking building and saw 3 police officers about to engage in some crimes. So he slept the first one, tucked him in nicely on the concrete, straight into sleep in the other one, leaving this one Pillsbury Doughboy with his pants at his ankles. And what did Henry do? He turned his grapes into wine. Just before he made him swallow a long ass rod, turning him into a rotisserie chicken. Then Jimmy came walking in there like he was playing Black Ops, close range sniping people. Anyway, we get to the point of the movie where we see the real Jimmy. Man came out there like he was Stephen Hawking. He was the scientist that helped make the cyborgs for the white hair freak, until this man folded Jimmy's spine like origami. So Jimmy created avatars to travel the real world to get revenge, have fun, because that's what he was doing most of the movie, and of course help Henry. But why in the hell did this man Jimmy give us a musical performance? I am not watching Glee. This is not High School Musical. You did not let it shine. You see what I'm doing? I'm working on the puns. At this point, Jimmy realized Henry was broadcasting live feed to Ekram or some shit. I try to say his name. And they engaged in a little squabbling session, which of course Henry wins. Jimmy been losing avatars left and right the entire movie. He think he can go one-on-one with Henry? Stop it. After the squabble, they decided to work together to handle the white hair freak, which was just them playing Sniper Simulator, seeing who can get the higher kill count. Until that nigga Jimmy changed avatars and went to the ground, getting active with a machete and a shotgun in hand. With the NPCs breaching the hotel, it was Henry's turn to get more active, turning the NPCs into ground beef with the shotgun. But why in the hell is this version of Jimmy acting like a character made to teach you how to play a game during the tutorial? He knows what he's doing. He's been killing very well the entire movie. Henry and Jimmy picked their way through a lot of them, but right here requires special treatment. Henry peeped 3 NPCs coming, so he jumped from the top of the rafters and had this man fill both of his feet to both of his shoulders, breaking them bitches. No more shrugging for him. His I don't know days are over. Rung this man's bell, had him daydreaming long enough so he can turn to the other guy, grab his gun, use it to flip him, turning him to Simone Biles, had him feeling like a gold medalist. Too bad I know his back was throbbing. Henry wasn't done yet. He turned back around to the one that was daydreaming, fed him some lessons, had him looking up to the sky. He must have thought he missed his flight. Then he stripped the clip from the guy's gun, sleeping him with it. I guess that's one way to use a clip. Right here, Henry was about to finally eat some lead, but Jimmy hit that cross map snipe save. Even with how much work they put in, they still ended up surrounded by white hairs men. But Jimmy still has some tricks up his sleeve, causing an explosion, aiding in their escape. We skip further into the movie, and they are at the man's headquarters. Guess who makes a reappearance? Tin Man with the burner. Jimmy was trying to get one of those aura edits, walking through the flames, firing up on him. Fearless. I mean, it's not his real body, but I still see what he's trying to do. Henry was like, this is not one. Hit Timmy with a slide tackle. They started rolling around, tussling like they was having a wrestling match. Till Tin Man kicked this in his face, laying him on his back. Had Tin Man so cocky, he got on top of Henry, and the man started doing riddles. You a DC villain? But he flew too close to the sun and had his skull blasting with a brick. Had Tin Man just staring into the afterlife. After that, they were back to murderizing until they made it to the elevator, where Jimmy helped remove Henry's memory block before he really died. Can we get an RIP for Jimmy? Now Henry had to act up once the elevator door opened. He upped his shield and tanked the bullets until they ran out, then blasted him with a rocket launcher. At this point, the movie started to look like a PS3 game, straight out of 2008. What if I told you everything he did was for no reason? Everything was fake, sort of. She wasn't really his wife, she was a white-haired his wife. That was just a memory they had planted into my man's head. He was really out here getting his ass beat for no reason. But worry not, he will get his get back right after he squabbles with this big-ass cyborg that consumed his kick like breakfast, then tossed his ass backwards. This cyborg, he must have thought he was smaller than he was, because he had no business flying across the room like this. If Henry didn't move, he would have been cosplaying as Flat Stanley, but that miss didn't mean shit to him. He was still on Henry's ass like Dr. Miami, lifted him into the air, making sure he get the maximum altitude before he WWE slammed Henry through the glass table. But the big dude didn't realize Henry's bag. Anything was a weapon to him. That glass was the same thing as ninja stars to him. He had him stumbling backwards. Henry peeped that it worked, so he scooped up even more glass, just raw dogging it, using it to grate this nigga face up like a block of cheese, but ended up falling and getting himself kicked across the room. The big nigga was just sliding him like a game of shuffleboard. I'm not gonna lie, Henry was getting cooked. He looked up the window, contemplating leaping from the window. Henry was weighing the odds of gravity versus that big dude. He chose dealing with the big guy. You can't beat gravity. Henry started beating the man with draws from the desk, and it didn't win, am I right? Shit, if I have to fight a nigga, you're getting bit. My fighting spirit is Mike Tyson. We have to win. Had Humpty Dumpty on the floor. Henry tried to strangle him, but he's down there like no neck Jay. So he said fuck it, started bouncing this nigga head. Then boop gained his power supply. Then of course, went to get his mandatory get back. Is what I would like to say, but this white haired freak just keeps spamming his telekinesis. Not really trying to run them hands, but I guess if I had a squad of hitters like this, I wouldn't get my hand dirty myself either. The cyborgs had my man Henry surrounded, forming a perfect fight circle. The first dude rushed in and hit a battle scream, got his ass slid across the platform fast as hell. Then finally, a person who understands sneaking came in quiet as hell, hitting the smoothest roundhouse I have ever seen in my life. He set that man Henry up for the perfect feast. Knuckles had Henry looking around like this.
He just hit me twice.
Henry knew the beating was gonna get bad, so he pushed past the threats and grabbed the weakest looking one. And if you ask me, this nigga does look weak, but they were still on his ass. One nigga wanted smoke so bad he leapt directly after him. It did earn him a donkey kick, but his co-worker wasn't gonna let that slide and caught Henry with a 60-man punch. Hit this man so hard he somehow ended up in a small gap, which ended up helping him because they were not planning to let this nigga breathe. The first one ran into the gap for his ones and had his batteries knocked directly out his back. Fell faster than the stage on the Rod Wave. One of the cyborgs thought they were being sneaky and tried to come from the top. He gave this man a vasectomy. Another one tried to slide him, but this was the best attack in his bag. It was like he was scared while trying to sneak him. That's exactly why he got his head beaten. Henry tried to flex by hitting some parkour over the wall, but they were like cockroaches. They were up there as well. But this man has to be ashamed of himself. This nigga could never ever show his face again. He ran up and got punched across map. Henry was not done though. He had more in store. Turned around, kicked another one to the wall, then another. But out of 100 cyborgs, there was bound to be one useful one who grabbed this man Henry and tossed him into the wall, opening up ample time for them to jump him. But the cyborgs must not have the latest hands update because Henry just pushed a lot of them off the building, spun straight into action. He caught this man's arm and had him eating metal like he was Godzilla. I never seen a nigga jump eagerly into a squabble to get folded like a beach chair. And this man right here stood there and watched while this man had his face beaten. In fact, I'm almost certain he was holding him up. Let him fall. He's done. Henry was really picking through them like they were not the same thing. The ass whooping he was given was so effortless. He tried to skip them and head directly to the boss. But we know what that spamming freak did. Sent him flying. But nope, not this time. He had to add some style to his recovery. Scaling the construct as soon as he touched it. Running around on that bitch like he was a stripper. Whitehair was hating so much he couldn't stand to see Henry stunt on the cyborgs and knock down the thing they were all standing on. You think that stopped Henry? Nah, he still had more in store for them. Back on his feet, back to action. The first two that ran up, double foot drop kick. Landing, catching the niggas like instantaneously, like it was second nature. I mean, he did do it 20 times in this movie alone. Still impressive. Only to have his shit stumbled. But this is how you know he really is him. A normal nigga would have been dazed by a punch like this. Brain humming in his head. But not him. He used that punch as a momentum to grab the metal pole and put even more work in. This one cyborg thought he was tougher than he was and grabbed the pole. His bravery was rewarded with some dental work and a brain bleed. The other cyborg got tied of that with the pole and yanked his ass to the ground. But the same thing happened. He used that trip to the ground to re-equip his weapon to a screwdriver. And he got the poke in them. Henry was so tired of fighting these bums, he tried to leap from building to building. Went into the room and ended up ending the showdown with a good old trusty shotgun, assault rifle, then grenades. After all the work he put on, he needed some of those Ryan Garcia boosters and injected himself with something. I have no idea what it was, but it gave him the boost he needed. He tossed the first wave boss at the NPCs and rushed straight for Whitehair. But come on now, we know he finna spam that telekinesis, but I can't complain because if I had it, I'll be spamming it as well. Henry didn't let that setback dampen his mood. He got straight back into work, sleeping this man, then turned his brain into a strawberry smoothie. Caught another NPC lacking. Why are all of them so buns? And why did they keep getting caught trying to sneak one person? Was this nigga winding up his punch, waiting for Henry to turn around so he could hit him with it? If so, it didn't work. Let's pause. What if I say all that fighting was for naught because Whitehair came down there and beat the brakes off Henry? After all that work, he was slept, only to be awakened by the danger attracting voice of his wife. I mean, not his wife, because guess what? I was right. She wasn't his wife. She was the wife of the Whitehair nigga the whole time. Man, I feel bad for him, but at least I can take back what I said at the beginning of the video. His father wasn't bad. I jumped to conclusions. He is not like the father from Chronicles. But after the prep talk from his father in the past, he got up, wrapped some barbed wire around his hands like this was a WWE, and grabbed the Whitehair freak's arm as he tried to throw him backwards. But Henry's smart thinking took Whitehair with him, and that was all Henry needed to get his revenge. He rushed over from the ground, hit him with an armbar to prevent being tossed away, then started splitting his hands like a thing of strange cheese. Feeling the pain of being torn apart caused Whitehair to lock in and utilize his telekinesis to push Henry away. But he deadass wanted his ass beat anyway. He made stairs so he can get his ass beat. I'm confused by that. He might have did it subconsciously, but it was still fucking stupid. Henry marched up the human stairs and put the beats on Whitehair. The death was so brutal I can't show it. But just know he was no longer a solid and now a liquid. All except the top of his head, which Henry tossed into the helicopter before he hopped in to handle the wife. But to be honest, her dumbass shot herself and stumbled out of the helicopter. But he did finish her off by slamming the door shut on her hands. So there's that. At least he got his get back. At least he got his get back. If you enjoyed the video, thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.